Hello everyone! Today we're taking you to a wonderful, iconic restaurant that plays a huge part in Las Vegas history. Being Italian and growing up in a family of great cooks and being a chef myself, I'll be the first to admit that I'm very picky when it comes to Italian food. So it's saying something when I tell you I found my new Italian spot in town. Since the 1940s, this family's been making amazing quality homemade Italian food and sharing their gift with Las Vegas. This is more than a restaurant. It's a legacy and a tribute to the art of fine Italian cooking. Today, we're taking you to the Bootlegger Italian Bistro. While located on South Las Vegas Boulevard, it's a few miles south of the Strip, just about a 10-minute drive. I have to agree with the Yelper that said, "This is the best calamari I've ever had." There's no appetizer I'd rather get in an Italian restaurant than calamari, since Italians, in my opinion, do it the best. The calamari here is a great starter. Italian-style calamari is my favorite type of preparation style for squid. Little cut rings and tiny, delicate, curly tentacles. I prefer the Italian version to the Asian salt and pepper style. Perhaps it's just my upbringing and the memories of my mom making it for me as a kid. Sometimes I find calamari to be fishy or rubbery. When it's reminiscent of rubber bands, it's usually from over-frying and it's horrible. If your calamari tastes fishy, it's because it's either not been properly cleaned or fish is just not fresh. I love the calamari here at Bootlegger though. It's perfectly coated with an egg wash, then dipped into flour and Italian breadcrumbs. It's far from bland, lots of seasoning. I'd be happy to eat this calamari anytime. It's probably as good as any I've ever eaten. Make sure to put this on your Bootlegger bucket list. We'd like to take this brief moment to welcome Cheryl, our newest VIP member. We greatly appreciate your support. It means the world to us. You too can become a member and receive members-only perks, such as newly added behind-the-scenes videos and brief return visit review videos. Of course, likes, shares, commenting, and subscribing, those are all a great help as well. So if you haven't liked or subscribed, please take a moment to do it now. It's free. Many of you may remember the days when bread was free. Well, it still is here, and I'm loving that. In addition to being free, they also happen to be delicious homemade bread knots, and they're served with homemade tomato sauce for dipping. I absolutely love these bread knots. I could have just eaten this all by itself, it was so good. The sauce, however, left something to be desired. Growing up in an Italian household, my mother always said she made the best sauce, and I'd be in deep, deep trouble if I didn't agree. But seriously, she did. The Cartoluccis who lived next door were also Italian, and Mrs. Cartolucci and my mother always had a sort of competitive rivalry going on as to whose sauce was the better and who was the better cook. The sauce served with the bread knots reminded me of Miss Cartolucci's sauce in that they both have too much dried oregano. Oregano is an overwhelmingly powerful herb and should be used sparingly. Too much makes food have a very bitter flavor. I can't help but agree with my mom that too much oregano is a cardinal sin of Italian cuisine. My suggestion when dining at a Bootlegger is to ask for the marinara sauce, even for these bread knots. It's divine and contains little or no oregano. Okay, we asked for the marinara, and now I'm totally loving these knots. Delicious. After just one whiff of this chicken parm, and my mind is flooded with childhood memories of my mother at the stove, lovingly sauteing garlic and olive oil. I remember the collaboration of my parents cooking in the kitchen together, my father at the cutting board pounding the chicken or veal till it was so thin you could see through it. As with most restaurants, the lunch price here is better than the dinner price, about $7 difference in this case. If you want to know how the chicken parm tasted in my restaurant, this is pretty darn close. The chicken cutlet here is nice and crispy, coated in egg, flour, and then double dipped in crispy breadcrumbs, which I suspect they make themselves from their homemade bread. The chicken on the inside is moist and very tender. The flavor of the chicken is so fresh it practically flies itself to the table, if chickens could fly. The sauce is a perfect marinara, very simple, tomatoes, garlic perfumed olive oil, and just a hint of fresh basil. Pure, clean, and wonderful. The pasta is an angel hair pasta with more of that great fresh sauce. They offer you all the grated parm you'd like. You're going to love this dish as much as I do. Another bootlegger's bucket list entry for sure. Normally, they serve this dish over a bed of potatoes, but I asked for pasta in place of them. I mean, come on, this is an Italian restaurant. Give me the pasta. The sauce is a creamy, rich Alfredo with just a touch of Dijon added to it, and it's utterly fantastic. The chicken, very fresh. It's a full boneless breast that's been sautéed in this delightfully rich yet delicate sauce. I love the subtle biting flavor the mustard has imparted into the chicken. It goes so well. And with the addition of the fettuccine pasta, magnificent. I can see why they normally pair this with potato, but honestly, the pasta seems such a more natural accompaniment. I'm sure that this dish will be something you're going to want to have again and again. You're going to love it. Soft, perfectly executed pillows of gooey, cheesy goodness in a sumptuous sauce. You'll fall hard and fast with these delicious homemade ravioli. They also have a gluten-free version of them on the menu if you prefer. The dough is very delicate and rolled out paper thin. The filling is a light mixture of ricotta and Parmesan cheese. I learned how to make ravioli at a young age, and anyone who's made them knows how time-consuming they are and what an art there is to perfecting them. These beautiful ravioli pair so well with this wonderful rose sauce, which is very similar to avoca sauce. It's a mixture of tomato and cream, pure and simple, and of course, delicious. Once again, a very successful and satisfying dish, and you're going to love it. They have a separate section of the menu called Light Lunch. These are lighter portions of Bootlegger favorites. They come with garlic bread and a choice of house or Caesar salad. There are 3 light lunch options: lasagna, beef ravioli, and baked penne. We tried the lasagna and the ravioli. Let's begin with telling you about the salads and garlic bread. I would have to say without any doubt that Caesar is my favorite salad of all time. From the first time I ever had it at Caesar's Grill in Tijuana, it was love at first bite, and I've been off and running, trying every Caesar I could get my hands on. Well, I love the Caesar salad here. Even though it's a bit of a deviation from the classic, it's electric. The dressing is lemony and tart, well balanced. You can tell they make it here from scratch. They use icy crisp romaine, mostly the white inner part, so it's uber crispy and fresh. The croutons are also homemade from their fabulous bread. There's just the perfect amount of dressing on this salad as well. It's not drenched as some places do. You can tell it was just made when ordered. The Parmesan cheese shaved over the top is also a nice touch. It's a very sharp cheese and adds a whole lot of flavor to the salad. Where this dressing deviates from the norm is that little or no anchovies are harmed in the making of the salad. I at least can't see or taste any. I believe there's Worcestershire sauce in place of anchovy. It's not your heavy, true Caesar with lots of garlic and black pepper either. It's light, citrusy, creamy, and refreshing. A little different, yes, but fantastic nonetheless. Tart, savory, and wildly pungent in a good way. It's wonderfully vinegary, a really delicious dressing. Unfortunately, these are the only 2 dressings that are made from scratch here. So honestly, I'd not be interested in any other salads with store-bought factory-made dressings. However, I'm puzzled because it says on the menu that the blue cheese dressing is also made from scratch. The servers and staff seem confused about this as well. They said that these were the only 2 house-made salads, so I'm not really sure what to make of the blue cheese one. This salad is, however, fantastic, and I'd be happy to eat it any time. I love the garbanzo beans. You see them a lot in Italian salads. They're sort of a common denominator between Italy and nearby Middle Eastern countries. This is a light and refreshing salad, and I highly recommend it. The kind of garlic bread made in Italy by my ancestors was a totally different animal from the garlic bread of today. They would rub a clove of garlic on bread and toast it, but never put butter, oil, or cheese atop. Though not an authentically Italian thing, what we know today as garlic bread was invented by Italians in the 1950s here in America and quickly became popular in Italian restaurants everywhere. This garlic bread is great. I could eat endless amounts of this glutinous, airy, crusty bread made here at Bootlegger's. Yeasty and fresh with olive oil, garlic, and just grated parm. Perfect for sopping up any lingering sauce which thought it would escape uneaten. Okay, it's getting a little scary. I'm about to walk back into the kitchen, half expecting to find our old neighbor, Maria Cartolucci, donning a chef's hat and hard at work. This lasagna tastes an awful lot like the one she made. I remember her bringing it over to the house, and my mother and I taking one taste after she left, and both feeling as though we were victims of oregano abuse. There's so much oregano in the beef filling of this lasagna that I really can't taste much else. This also is not really lasagna. There are no layers as you would normally find, just one big lump of meat covered with melted cheese and then draped over with a sheet of pasta. It's also been cooked to death. I'm pretty sure this lasagna has been kept in a sterno chafing dish, since I can taste the unpleasant sterno flavor from the heating element. I wish I had better things to say, but I have to be truthful, even if it's coming off harsh. This lasagna is at least a few days old, and it's terrible. Maybe I'm just here on an off day, but I can only report on what I have in front of me. I've had so many good things here. This just isn't one of them. Okay, Mrs. Cartolucci, I know you're in there. For the love of God, put down your jar of oregano, come out of the kitchen, and let's have a chat. Seriously though, this is not anywhere near as bad as the lasagna I just discussed, but it's a close second. The ravioli is homemade, the surrounding pasta is wonderfully al dente, and the sauce is tremendous. It's the marinara sauce I've been raving about in the other dishes I've had today. However, the filling has way too much oregano, and it ruins the whole dish for me. One positive of the overuse of oregano is it's a dead giveaway that it's homemade, since I'm sure no larger company that makes ravioli would chance using an obscene amount of oregano like this. Don't get me wrong, there's a time and place for oregano. I love it in a salad dressing or on a steak. I even like a small amount of it in a sauce, but most people get carried away. It should just be enough to taste balanced and not in your face. It's much safer to cook with fresh basil in your sauce, since it's a more delicate taste and hard to overdo. Well, there have been a lot of really wonderful dishes today, and yet again, this just isn't one of them. All right, I'm so happy to say we've gotten back on track with this Pollo Angelo. Just one taste of this delightful dish and I'm in heaven. This is comfort food at its finest. I could eat this any time and be content. White wine, red peppers, artichoke hearts, mushrooms, and Kalamata olives in a rich buttery cream sauce with garlic. Put plainly, this dish just makes me happy. I love the subtle notes of red pepper and the bold flavor imparted from the olives that take this dish to another level. The artichokes, while not fresh, give it a great vehicle for the sauce to cling to. I'm glad to say that this is a very well prepared dish. I love the fresh chicken breast. It's cooked perfectly, so very moist. The fettuccine alfredo is wonderful. It's made with heavy cream and the perfect amount of Parmigiano Reggiano, as is the norm. But they have an unexpected, and I must say, delightful trick up their sleeve. The addition of cream cheese. This addition sends this dish over the top, and I'm so glad I ordered it. And yet another dish to add to your bootlegger bucket list. They say there's two things one should never see: a woman putting on her makeup or the making of sausage. In our restaurant, we were known for our homemade sausage. We made them fresh in our kitchen every day, and people raved about them. So I consider myself somewhat of a sausage aficionado. This sausage is just fantastic. Pepper, garlic, fennel, onion, a hint of red chilies, the proper amount of oregano, and basil. A true classic that Italian sausage lovers will rave about. This is a recipe that was created with a lot of thought and love. Chef Maria's fantastic meat sauce and Bootlegger's homemade sausage atop rigatoni are a force to be reckoned with. Rigatoni has always been my favorite pasta shape, especially when lined. These tantalizing tubes become filled with sauce, and the lined exterior adds a more textured surface for sauce to cling to and make it to my taste buds. These rigatoni have been cooked perfectly al dente, and paired with the sausage, absolutely heaven. I'm loving this dish. Okay, that bucket list is really filling up fast. It's great when you can finish a meal with a bang, and that's definitely the case today. This dish is my all-time favorite classic Italian comfort food. So simple and perfect when made right, but most cooks overcomplicate it with ingredients that simply don't belong. If you look through recipes on the internet, there's an abundance of people destroying chicken marsala recipes. I can hear my mother in my head saying,
"Basta, keep it simple."
The best recipes are the purest and simplest. This marsala here is magnificent. Another winning dish. This is the authentic way to make chicken marsala. Clearly, they know what they're doing. Most chefs tend to overcomplicate marsala by adding too many herbs or too much garlic. Sometimes it can be overpowered by the marsala wine not being cooked out enough. The strident taste of alcohol can ruin this dish. But here, they get it just right. It's a delicate, perfect blend of mushrooms, chicken, butter, chicken stock, and marsala wine. It's served with a well-balanced fettuccine alfredo. The alfredo is rich, and creamy, and perfect accompaniment. I can't fault this dish. It's superb. Yet another item for your bucket list. Overall, we really enjoyed the Bootlegger Italian Bistro. There's so many good dishes here, so don't get hung up on the few bad ones, especially since the two dishes I didn't like were both part of the light lunch menu. Maybe it's best to avoid those entirely. Recently, a viewer told me I was being hard on the chef. Well, I'm going to tell you when I love or hate a dish, and I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. Bootlegger is an old Vegas gem, reminiscent of a time when this town was run by the mob and the Rat Pack was all the rage. You half expect to see Frank and Dean at a table, shooting the breeze with some beautiful dames by their side. Nowadays, this place is frequented by mostly Las Vegas locals and people seeking old-world-style Italian food. If you join their VIP club, you will receive some great benefits and discounts. 20% off is available, and when you buy 2 dinners, they'll give you a free bottle of wine. The VIP club service will send you out many tempting offers to keep you returning, although honestly, the food is enough to bring you back again and again. While we usually speak exclusively about the food and only the food, one thing I would note about Bootlegger is this. There's not a warm, fuzzy feeling one gets here. The staff doesn't go out of its way to make you feel at home. Our server was cold, officious, and made ice seem cuddly. After eating here, we tried to contact the owner and management without anyone getting back to us, twice. I'm sure from the rich history of Bootlegger, it was once a very friendly family-run place. But sadly, it doesn't feel that way today. Don't get me wrong, the service is acceptable, attentive, and professional, but don't expect to be making friends or to be greeted by anything more than a grunt or a nod, even after several visits. Fortunately, the food is excellent and reasonably priced. We'll be back to Bootlegger soon. Who knows, maybe you'll see us there?
And don't forget to tell him Maria Cartolucci sent you.
I know we're all guilty of watching YouTube videos and not participating. Please like, comment, subscribe, or even become a VIP member. It means a lot to us, and it helps us grow and to bring you more reviews. Until we eat again, bon appetit!